happening in our area. We have retail coming in, apartments presumably coming in, a lot of changes with 170, the growth and expansion of North Beach. A lot of us are being affected in a lot of different ways. And I'm really glad that you're here and you get to hear this firsthand. So all the rumors and all the things you get to hear and read on Facebook, you can determine if those are actually true and accurate or somebody's just talking to talk. We're going to, oh, Jacob Worman, City of Fort Worth zoning.
And Saratoga resident. And Saratoga resident.
And a Saratoga resident, actually, and so is Mr. Sproles and Miss Murphy. So we are definitely represented. Hillwood is going to give their presentation first, and at that time, after which we will have questions. Each of the members are going to speak about this as well. So thank you again for being here. Robert?
Thank you, Ashley. I'll probably just stay standing up. And, Ashley said after the presentation, but we hope that this is interactive, just to sort of set the tone for what we're going to go through. For those who were at the North Fort Worth Alliance meeting about a month ago, where we presented a lot of this effort, or at P&Z 2 weeks ago, I believe. I apologize, but we're trying to keep consistent so everybody is seeing the same information. So we're going to just very quickly, for those who don't know who we are, give you some snapshot. And then Jesse Carrasco, who has been working on this strategic effort for almost a year and a half now, will go through the presentation. But we've included a lot of information based on the questions that we've heard from the community over the past few weeks. So rather than you have to wait to wonder and ask, we're just going to be out front so we can have a dialogue and there's no uncertainty in it. I just wanted to say, first of all, this is pretty amazing that you all came out. It speaks a lot to the community. Obviously, we're very proud of Saratoga and the surrounding communities, but for us, we've been here, we hit our 31st anniversary last year. We're not going anywhere. We have another 30 years plus to go at most, so I won't be here, but some of these other young Hillwood people will. The effort about multifamily, when I started with Hillwood in 2006, I went through a very similar strategic planning exercise that ultimately led to Alliance Town Center. And I only tell you that this is a dynamic master plan. We have almost 27,000 acres. Y'all see the maps. You hear about a lot of different activities. We're constantly rethinking transportation initiatives, job initiatives, economic development, parks. How do these things all fit together? And when I came here in 2006, there was an effort with the city of Fort Worth. It was Fernando Costa, two different council members from a long time ago, Danny Scar and Sal Spino, to go and reorient multifamily and mixed use in the growth nodes where the jobs were in transportation. So this may seem like a new thing for those of you who've been here for a long time, but it really hasn't. It's always been the plan. We just haven't got there yet because the jobs were here on the 170 corridor. The transportation network wasn't there, and that's ultimately why we're here today. So we're going to have an honest dialogue, which means we're not going to tell you things that we don't know or promise things that we don't know. And if we need to say no, we'll say no. But the intent here is that y'all know everything that we're doing and we get your feedback, because this is the beginning. There's some retail in the planning on one side of the beach, but the reality is we're going to really be out there marketing these corners now that beach is opening up. We've completed or will be completing 170. But then, honestly, a big piece of it is then what's the plan in the density, which hence why we're here with the multifamily. So, just some background. Jesse?
Can you check on the Lost Creek Ranch page to see if it's showing?
I'm going to walk it over here. So if I can click on the computer over here. All right. So as Robert alluded to, my name is Jesse Carrasco. I'm a development manager with Hillwood Properties. I know I've met actually a couple familiar faces out here in the crowd, so it's good to start making some connections in the community. But I've been with Hillwood for a little over 2 years now, and I've been working on this for almost 2 years as well. And so this is a culmination of a large, long-term planning effort that we've been working on. But as Robert alluded to, in case you don't know who we Hillwood are, just a very quick synopsis. We're a fully integrated real estate development firm that is backed by the Perot family, started back in the late 80s, with pretty deep roots in Fort Worth and the general North Texas region. As we all know, our flagship development is Alliance, Texas. It's a 27,000 acre and growing master plan development we're working on for several decades. And it largely spans the 35W corridor from 287 up to Denton, with property holdings from the west side of Perot Field Airport through 170 out to 114 into Westlake. So I really say that mainly from the purpose of providing a perspective of just how we view the world that we get to work within. And again, it's a continuous planning effort that is relatively evolving as market conditions change, as infrastructure gets built throughout our region. So for us, our planning efforts are multiple years, multiple decades long. And as Robert again alluded to, is with the development and expansion of what is Alliance, Texas since the late 80s, with the job center and with the transportation coming online, we're starting to identify where the next areas of focus for us are. And so for right now, from a pursuit of a true first mixed-use node along the 170 corridor has been part of the comprehensive plan of the city of Fort Worth for several decades now. That's an area that we're starting to plan out and figure out what is the best test fit. So just, again, really quickly want to just walk through why we're focusing on the area with some of the advancements in infrastructure. And let me just caveat a couple of these things. Again, I'm not here to sell you guys on me as an individual or Hillwood as a company, or really even the project. The effort here is to provide you with as much information as we know it today and help equip you guys with the most accurate reasons why as to how we're pursuing this site and how it's evolving. So the main areas I want to focus on here, and again, apologies if you guys can't in the back see it, but the 170 corridor, as we briefly touched on a minute ago, it's coming online. The main lane's opening within the next couple months. I think the last update we heard from TxDOT was around March of next year. And again, that could be subject to weather and construction delays, but that's what they're currently tracking for. And then North Beach Street, which is an important connection, as it is the last southern bound connection that will take effectively traffic from 170 all the way down to effectively downtown Fort Worth. And so that is days away from opening now. And the big reason why that's a big focus for us is that'll help alleviate a lot of traffic flow that's coming on to Alta Vista. Just helps out an additional relief point, but it really does also open up those true four corners of what is North Beach Street and 170. And so we've talked about infrastructure, transportation within those four corners. So want to hit on jobs again, expand on what Robert hit on. If we took a crystal ball of what we thought this area would look like from when we first started, I think we could have maybe taken a rough guess, but no one really could have expected the expansive growth that really has come to the area. One of the things that we like to note within our landholding of what is Alliance, Texas, again, since the late 80s, 66,000 direct, not even including indirect, jobs have been generated within Alliance, Texas, and that's not to be including anything outside of our landholding. And so with that, highlighted above us, or behind me, is some of the recent big job employers coming to the area, which is very encouraging, with a large concentration of that being along 170. So with that all in mind, understanding the growth in jobs, the infrastructure that's in place, the focus of that area coming online for us and how we want to plan that effort in relation to the, again, comprehensive plan to make it a true mixed-use node. This is the proposed land plan that we presented several times in the past several months, and also a couple weeks ago at P&Z. But highlighted in that kind of pinkish purple color is, you know, just your general land use intent of a commercial mixed-use asset type. So whether it be retail, restaurants, it's MOB, medical office building, or you know, something of that magnitude. And then highlighted in brown is the two parcels that we have as part of our rezoning effort to change that to multifamily. And so roughly it's a little bit under 40 acres between the two parcels. But so backing up a little bit, the main reason why we're pursuing that integration of multifamily into, again, this mixed-use node is you can relate it almost back to what is now Alliance Town Center. I'm not saying that this is Alliance Town Center or making that promise, but you relate it back to the tenant mix and encouraging tenants to come into a space, and whether it's a grocery anchored use with inline retail or what have you, having that use within a walking distance or within a very close travel distance of confirmed density of an attractive demographic only allows for us to attract better tenants and better uses within our true, again, mixed use node. And as Robert alluded to earlier, I'm not sure if I'm out to showing that, but right there at the west side of Beach Street, south of 170, where it's grayed out, that's the current area where if you're driving by, you may see some of the infrastructure being installed now. Those are active retail pads that we are currently working on and have a couple deals sorted out there. So since our P&Z meeting a couple weeks ago, we have put a concerted effort forth with the design team to put together a high-level illustrative of what we're intending for the ultimate goal of this mixed-use area to look like. And very candidly, it's going to change a million times between now and the day we actually build it, but the intent of the actual use case scenario for that land plan effort is still going to be true and what we're pushing forward to today. So, not to delay any further, for what you can see up there, and again, it's kind of small, but what we're looking at is kind of confirmed orientations of how we'd go about planning this area. So the two multifamily pods that we've talked about on the north side and south side of 170 are oriented in that fashion with the intent for us to pursue a grocery anchored corner on the east side of Beach and retail uses to the north, and then to the south of, I should say southwest of Beach of the existing corner that we're working on. That's a little bit in flux of maybe it's a medical office building of some magnitude, or some kind of effort in that order. But the big topic, I think, most concerning to, or most concentrated on by the, especially Saratoga folk, is the area we have in tan, where we're showing a future proposed commercial mixed use to fall in line with the rest of this planned area. Candidly, the reason why it is blank is because we're just not there yet as far as what it's going to look like. It will fall in line with, again, the intent of a commercial mixed use asset type, but really we've kind of floated around the idea of whether it's townhomes, or if it's medical office building, or if it's light retail, or if it's a build for rent product. Really, it's kind of up in the air, but to be fully transparent, that product type needs to bake, and candidly, if we wanted to do a, say, build for rent type of product, it is an area where we will have to come back for rezoning, so you guys will be fully aware of what's going on in this corridor. But really, the kind of area that we're also really concentrating on is to the left side of the screen, or the west is our a regional connectivity of park dedication and open space connectivity. So going back to how we plan and view the area that we get to work within Alliance, again, it's a 27,000 acre master plan development. This is 200 or so acres within that overall 27,000 acres. So as part of a regional trail integration and park dedication to the city of Fort Worth or the respective municipalities that we get to work within, this actually plays a key part in connecting the north and south of 170 pieces that have been missing. So we're actively pursuing a dedication of park space on the north side of 170 with the city of Fort Worth. And then to the south, that'll be a future effort that we will dedicate in the future that'll again will tie into existing trail systems there at the northern edge of Saratoga.
Just to pause for a second, because this is a new map. So for those again who were in previous discussions or P&Z,
We have 30 years of master planning on pretty much every piece of property within Hillwood. So there's other stuff you may see out on the internet in our marketing materials, because this is always anticipated to be a mixed-use corner. But there are a lot of questions over the past couple of weeks, and just based on the land use bubble map we had, there's not enough for it to just conceptually visualize. So, as Jesse said, this will change 1,000 times, but the communication in our previous meetings has been, in the corners will obviously be some sort of retail, a grocer anchored corner, which is what's depicted in the illustrative over here on the east side, so the southeast corner. That's our goal, that's our target, it's always been our target. We don't have one lined up, so before yes, we don't, but it's part of the effort in now we can go out to market in a different way. But it's a logical place for a grocery anchored corner. Over the past 17 years that I've been here, the density and as successful these communities are, to get a good grocer, it takes a lot of density, and we're getting there. The two multifamily projects, again, those are illustrative, but we have almost 3,000 multifamily units within Lionstown Center. We know it very well. It's all of the same suburban urban model type. So we know generally, based on the two properties that we're zoning, how it will lay out, what the look and feel and the materials and all that, we don't. But those are pretty good representations. As Jesse said, everything to the south, we don't know. For those who live in the area, you drive by and it is very difficult topography. We have a lot of planning to do to figure out how that all lays out. You've heard, actually you've asked, there is a need for senior housing within the corridor. I'm not going to promise senior housing, but that's what's laid out as an illustrative over on the far southern left side. And then Jesse mentioned, again, for those who may have seen a map almost a year ago, we initially, don't throw tomatoes at us, we initially were looking at the multifamily up along Saratoga, because from a spatial planning, it made sense. We heard the community, we decided we're not going to do that right now. So we don't know what we're going to do. That is all zoned a office medical. So anything residential, no matter what flavor it is, we will have to go through zoning, so you'll hear about it. But it's also a very strange depth in topography that office is not what it used to be. It's hard to imagine a bunch of office. That'll come back someday, but it's not there today. It certainly could be single family, but that's not, really what we want to do anytime soon. So that's the honest answer to why there's a big blob there in the history of it.
And then I think one other thing to touch on really quickly, big concern or a big ask that's been repeated over time has been just general access points and how traffic will flow. Again, we're still very early stages of planning, so we're not quite there yet. But the intent that we have and that we've continued to pursue is to the extent that the city of Fort Worth will allow us and the fire department will allow us, the goal is to influence as much traffic away from Alta Vista as possible, out onto 170, out to Beach. But again, in the event, or for the purpose of being totally transparent and candid, in the event that there's even a slight chance that the city of Fort Worth, the fire department requires us to have access taken onto Alta Vista, we wanted to go ahead and show an access point there. And so that's very high level. It'll change a million times where it ends up being, the orientation of it, angle, etc. If even is required, happens. So again, for the sake of transparency, we wanted to show something, at least connecting in the event that it's required.
Yeah, really practical.
That southwest corner, that immediate southwest corner right there, of Beach and 170. On that diagram where they're actually doing construction right now. What did you say that is?
So that'll be retail for the immediate add into the first four corners.
Retail like.
And so it'll be quick service restaurants, so drive-through, fast food. It'll be a gas station. There's a car wash as well. So
Well, what were you saying a minute ago about medical and office? Where on that map was that?
a little further south. So right there where, I wish I could have a laser, but so you got the immediate corner, and then you got that black line that's coming through, and that's effectively the southern boundary of what's currently being worked on. The further south of that is the areas again that we're thinking could be.
Put your finger in the light.
So that's the immediate corner that we're working on. Again, it's the first to market, and so it is going to be more service oriented. Again, gas station, car wash, some quick service restaurants that have drive-throughs. Some names that you'll be familiar with once we're ready to announce. But those will be coming very soon. But that really speaks to the first entrance into the market and the type of tenants we're going to be able to continually attract, right? In order to get that the grocery anchored corner with the service, with the restaurants or with retail added onto it. Really, we need to help continue to build the sub-market of what this node will feed into, and so adding the density is what we're after right now.
Oh, he was first. He's been waiting.
I just have one quick question. So on the pictures on this chart and the last chart, it appears to still show that Alta Vista crosses over 170. And I don't know if that's just a snapshot in time of when this was taken, but that's no longer there. So really the only way if we have development on both the north side and the south side of 170, the only way to get through that is really on Beach. And I guess the question is just how much of that traffic do we think is then going to come, now down in through the neighborhood? Because that's really the only crossing point.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. And so this is taken from just a Google Earth aerial. So it may not have been updated to show that Alta Vista Bridge being taken out and with the Beach Bridge being constructed. But as far as access goes, again, we're going to do the best we can as far as land planning and how we can orient access and what is going to be allowed by, again, the city of Fort Worth and the fire department for safe access and multiple points of egress. But the intent would be to take access off of onto 170 as much as we can to influence that, as well as push the traffic out to Beach to go out to 170. But again, to reiterate, in the event that we do or are required to have a secondary point of access onto Alta Vista, we are showing that, but kind of in this iterative planning effort, and again, it's going to be changing and ever evolving, but as we've been walking through, I'm going to use my finger again.
The big stick, Jesse.
Where's the big stick? I wanted to show the east-west connection. So, yeah.
It's like the 80s all over again.
Yeah. Adapt and overcome. So we can't guarantee that this is going to be the ultimate, final design. But as we've been going through our iterative design efforts, what we have noticed is, if an east-west connection through our site is required, it could actually provide an alternative method to alleviate traffic from Alta Vista going out to the beach. So again, not a guarantee that that's going to happen or that's what we'll end up doing, but it is something we've actually noticed as we're planning. So it's iterative.
All right, I've got a two-part question. One is for you and one is for Steve. As far as things go, since you're comparing things to Alliance, what was the crime rate increase after bringing all of these businesses in and things like that to the neighborhoods that were directly surrounding them, if there was any? And then Steve, how is this going to affect, like putting in multifamily homes affect Hughes Elementary and Granger, and what would that be zoned in for as far as schools?
So, yeah, absolutely. So actually, if I can skip ahead just real quick on some of these slides, I want to show.
Just while you're doing it, you get a good school district.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been here a while. I was very much, we were all involved, and certainly Rusty, in getting to subdivision 6 up to Alliance. That's the police subdivision off of Riverside Drive, just past Alliance Town Center. So we know the crime very well, and measurement from nothing being here to all of Alliance Town Center, I don't know. I just know that as an area, and y'all probably know this because you've been issues with response times and others, it is incredibly low crime. And I certainly have a reference for the rest, so everything in Color and Alliance has an association. We have 18 commercial associations. It has nothing to do with your homeowners association. And we have, within that, we have very good stats on crime because we have off-duty police officers that will patrol just as they will here. Now that this is all going in, police officers patrol through, they live all in the neighborhoods, and we track the data. We know it is, Alliance Town Center as a comparable is very low crime. Now, 35W, transient, people coming up to 35W, panhandlers, we've all seen. I'm not gonna say there's no crime. There certainly is crime.
Right.
There's shoplifting, in a center like that. But generally, as an area in North Fort Worth, the crime rate's pretty low in our commercial developments. But
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to quickly speak to the schools, I did want to show on this slide, and maybe you can't quite see it, but we do have in a dark line on the right side or on the east side of our property, the division line. So largely this property south of 170 is still zoned for Keller ISD, and then that sliver, and then to the north is Northwest ISD.
Triangle?
I can't quite read this. The Northwest ISD boundary is right here, this line here. So this sliver is in Northwest ISD. This is all Keller ISD. And then that is Northwest ISD. So we're gonna be.
And that's going to be Hughes, right? On the other side of 170?
Hughes and Tidwell.
Yeah, is Hughes, I know Tidwell is kind of like, is Hughes going to be okay for, Hughes and Tidwell going to be okay for that influx?
Yeah, they will.
Okay, so there's an anomaly in our district boundaries in this little, for lack of a better term, this little rectangle square area is Keller ISD. And it's completely surrounded by Northwest ISD. It goes back to a land swap years ago before Saratoga and all these areas were built. So that's just a short history. As far as I know, I talked to Tim McClure, facilities director, and there's no land swap talks being underway right now. So that's Keller ISD. So to answer your question about north of 170, that multifamily affected Hughes. Hughes is about 650 students as of today, and it's a campus for 850.
Okay.
It can absorb a multifamily. In fact, there's a future, let me back up. Monday at our school board meeting, we have our quarterly demographics report that shows all the movement, all the developments that are currently being built, all the futures, and we're showing a future multifamily over there behind the 7-Eleven, so another one with all the others that are there. That's huge. So with 200 kids, there's plenty of room because on average, the kind of apartments that are being built in Northwest ISD right now, the average student per door is 0.1 student. Keller ISD, it's 0.8. So there's different apartments being built in our area. That's today, 10 years from now, there's no telling what the makeup of those apartments are going to be. But so immediately, no big deal. So we can absorb 200 more students into Hughes. And I think Granger, 725-ish. So Granger can absorb another 125. But if you look at the numbers for the forecast the next 10 years, Granger's staying steady, if not going down a little bit, and Hughes is about the same. Our area is pretty much built out.
And that'll work for Tidwell too then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I posted some numbers on the Saratoga Facebook page today, but what I'm going to do is after we have the report's official, if the report is official on Monday, I'm going to share it with Rusty because he can reach all the subdivisions. I know personally I'm in the Saratoga and the McPherson Ranch, but I can't get into Vista Greens and Ranches. So I think Rusty will share it there. He can hit everybody, then you can share it within your subdivision. And so yeah, that should answer your question about the entries. Yes, ma'am. How did you recognize that, Melanie?
Hey, Steve. With the new high school that's coming, is there going to be, somebody was telling me today that they thought there were other schools, like maybe a middle school being built over there too. Is that true, or is that?
So high school number 4 was just on the bond that we just passed in May. Thank y'all very much. And then middle school number 8 was on the bond as well. Right now, high school number 4 is forecasted to go right there behind the pilot at the corner of 170 and Riverside. And it might be at some entrance to the 35 access road. We're talking with Hillwood about that now. And middle school number 8 is actually forecast to go up around 406 and 35 in the Pecan Square area. Okay. So, do we have the land there? Yes. The initial, this was years ago when the land was first purchased, was for a high school, a stadium, a middle school, and maybe an elementary school. However, what goes there depends on where people move into and when it happens. So right now, the next elementary is paired up there by the administration, by Clear Love. High school will be here, and the next middle school will be up in Justin.
Okay.
And I know some questions I saw on Facebook, and I want to reiterate that future boundaries for high school number 4, we don't know what those are yet. So be real careful when you say Saratoga or your community, it's your subdivision, will go to the new high school. There's no will to it yet. We really won't know until about a year before it opens. Chances are good, yes. But it depends on where the students are moving at that time, where the developments are going, because we're still a few years away from a new high school.
So did I hear you say in passing there's another apartment complex planned by the 7-Eleven north of 170, which is my side?
It's on our report that there is a future multifamily development.
Okay, so given that, Steve, was there any consideration ever given to putting the grocery store on our side of the highway? Because we have nothing. Sorry, Steve. Sorry, I got my names mixed up, sorry.
What did you just say a second ago? It was going by the pilot?
High school number 4. For those who don't have kids in the school, Eaton High School out there on 287 is overcrowded, and we need a new high school to relieve that. A little bit of Byron and just a little of Northwest. So it'll be anchored there, and so it's Eaton. The tidal wave of growth is going up 287. So what we had here a few years ago. I've been here since 07. So the pains and struggles we went through on the 2-lane farm roads, the forward part of 287 is going through that now. So we need that new high school to alleviate that and not have as many portables. So that's why I want to say thank you to the voters that passed that bond in May. So that's going to really help not have overcrowded schools.
Thank you. To your 2 questions. One is, I think the multifamily that's showing up in the regional Northwest ISD report is, you saw it on our previous maps, you see it in our previous maps. The only multifamily residential that Hillwood owns in 170 is the zoned, we haven't built it, that's the zone, it is zoned multifamily. Yeah. You saw that in the previous presentation. That is currently zoned multifamily. I bet that's what is in the report. And then the grocery, it doesn't fit. I mean, the depth to go do a grocer of any size with the parking requirements in that awkward shape, combined with the requirement for them on traffic and density that Beach gives them just as a substantial going to the south, is why it ended up here.
Okay.
No, but to your point, ultimately what the rest of the retail on that corner is, we don't know yet, but it's not to say there's not some sort of food component, but it won't be a grocery center.
Okay.
7-Eleven question was the new 7-Eleven, not the existing 7-Eleven down closer to our neighborhood, right?
Yes, the 7-Eleven on 170.
Right, that's fine.
You've had your hand up for a long time.
Yeah, you guys put out comments about traffic flow, pushing traffic a certain way. Assuming the data supports those arguments, it does seem it's readily possible to remove traffic from Alta Vista, but also building facilities are going to draw traffic in. So you're assuming the data will support that, and you're going to share it.
So what Jesse was pointing out is, master plan? There's that gray east-west line between all, there's no data. That is just planning, and the reality of what Jesse kept caveating that if all the city's going to require it, we'd rather plan for it. I mean, practically speaking, given that hopefully will be a grocer and service and access and the need for additional connectivity east-west, because there's not any, obviously, for a while, for folks in Vista Green and Alta Vista to get over to Beach. It's hard to imagine that there's not going to be some sort of connectivity. But there's not any data, we haven't gone to Fort Worth yet, that's just planning for it.
Just to quickly add as well, as far as the ability to make a connection onto 170, we do from TxDOT have the no access limits of where we can and cannot put driveways as it currently stands today. So where we're anticipating to have at least a north-south connection fits within that boundary. So we know we can at least from a technicality standpoint be able to get something within that range. Where it ends up kind of being would be subject to change. And then once we come forth to start actually developing the site, going vertical with our respective uses, we'll have to do a traffic study as well as part of our platting efforts and whatnot. So data will be generated for that, but as far as locations, they're kind of TBD, but we have a general idea of where on 170 at least. Thank you.
Yeah. So, quick question, with the increased traffic in Beach, right, we're gonna get a big traffic in Beach. What about Champions View? Is there, do we have to do a study for like that four-way stop right now? Because people run that four-way stop now. And so with all the increased traffic we're gonna have, what does the future look like? Or is there gonna be a light? Is there gonna be a study? Or how long are we gonna have to wait on that?
That's a good question. The question is there going to be some traffic control device put in at Champion View Way and North Beach? The answer to that is yes. And the answer to that is there, Jay Portman and I had spoken with several people at Texas at TPW, and I received word from William Johnson, who is the assistant city manager, who has purview over the TPW. And they are in the process now of coming up with a way to get that intersection signalized, rather than waiting until the next bond issue. We're trying to get it done much more quickly. They're trying to figure out how to move assets around. The mayor and the city manager were instrumental in hearing my plea. So the answer is yes, there's going to be something there. It may come in stages. Okay, it may come in stages with signaling a stop. The red lights to stop when the crossing guard is there. By the way, it would be very helpful if you would be able to be a crossing guard. It's an opportunity to interface with the kids. chance to interact with the kids, you know, you interface with the computer. Well, anyway, it gives you a chance to interact with the kids and build relationships with the kids and show them that we want them to be safe in that crossing and also to help them get across. So if you know somebody that wants to do that, I know that there's crossing guards. I lived down and travel Park Vista a lot, and there are crossing guards there who have been there forever. And they watch kids graduate from these schools and contributed a lot to their well-being. So it's a great profession. So get an idea of what you'd like to do, and the city will, because the city's going to look for it. We just well come up here. Does that answer your question about the traffic signal?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Is there a best case and worst case time frame for that, or?
There is no time frame. They are looking at. I'll tell you what the biggest problem is. Okay, the biggest problem with is if we could walk up and hand them $1 million, which is about the cost of signalizing that, it would take them 6 to 8 months just to get.
That's not very much money for Hillwood.
It's not Hillwood.
Y'all are gonna make way more than that.
It's not Hillwood's obligation.
Sure.
That when that was laid out at the beginning, that was accepted as a city obligation, not a Hillwood obligation. It would take 6 to 8 months to get poles. It takes about 6 months to get controls. So even if we had the money right now, it would take that long to get the equipment. They are looking at ways to reroute equipment too, as part of this whole plan. As of right now, I don't know any details.
On that question, the best thing you can do, just like with Funnel Street, when that happened down there, send emails, make phone calls, be annoying. Send every day to the people at City of Fort Worth. Leave the Hillwood guys off the email. They can't do it anyways. But the more that you can do it, the quicker the response will happen. Funnel Street was up and running within 7 months of the first meeting that I had with somebody at TPW. That was a little bit more dire, and I haven't got to ask this question yet, but I'm gonna ask somebody at the city, what does it cost to have this installed? Not just the cash, but how many injuries, accidents, and other serious issues does it cost for us to get that installed right away? They know that it's there. They understand that it's an issue. They are working on it very diligently, trying to find the money, but do send messages on a weekly basis if you can, just to continue to remind them. Let your neighbors know. The more people we can have involved, the more pressure it puts on them, and it moves that intersection up the list even further.
It's very simple. William.
Yes.
Ready for this? William dot Johnson, all normal spellings, at FortWorthTexas.gov. Everything's spelled out.
Except for the dot.
Except for the
Smart ass.
Yes.
What I did with my pen.
You can copy District 10.
I had a pen here somewhere. Oops, there it is.
District with no space 10. At FortWorthTexas.gov. Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
Yes, so you were talking about traffic studies on beach. This, for those of us that live on the beach corridor already, has there any talk about the noise? We know the noise level is going to increase because the traffic's going to increase. Is there any talk of compensating for that noise level for those of us that live in areas that have like no fencing or anything around us?
That's not going to be an issue for Hillwood. That will be an issue that you'll have to take up with the city.
With the city, okay.
Now, I don't know enough about the beach corridor and where there's noise abatement and not.
Because like some obviously subdivisions have it, they built it in. Ours does not. Like beach is just wide open for us. Okay.
I will tell you what I've told the people at Westport. You're going to have to build it yourself.
Any other burning questions right now?
They don't care.
have, in case I don't know if I do real estate, I am in real estate. The feeling I have is that with this project, it's not increasing the value of the community as opposed to, it's decreasing a little bit. With apartments, it seems like it's been thrown in every once in a while. There may be apartments, it's coming apartments, and I mean, I do sell homes, and people don't say, let me move to this community because there's a Panda Express right next to me. So that's the feeling I have. There may be
Good comment. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a great comment. I think we can answer it a couple ways, but speaking back to the quality of planning effort that we will put into this, and I'm not going to at all promise you guys that it's going to be a Alliance Town Center of any magnitude, but the exact planning effort and design intent that we put into Alliance Town Center, we're going to put the same amount of effort into this area to make sure that it is a quality, well-landscaped, adequate setbacks to, again, increase the quality of the product with us being long-term land owners. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to own this forever, I'm not saying that we are, I'm not saying that we aren't going to sell it, but we historically have been long-term holders, and also we want to protect our asset. It's a very expensive to build these mixed-use nodes, and it's going to be phased over time. But in order to protect that, we're only incentivized to make it the best quality that we can. And so we also do that by, or protect that with our deed restrictions, our CC&Rs that we have in place. Actually, something I do want to maybe point out real quick that can speak a little bit more to that effort that we put into our deed restrictions. Let me back up real quick.
Sorry, I just want to expand.
And particularly your point of just one-off, and we get that, and everything Jesse's saying is, this is a master planned mixed-use community. It's not just a corner, traditional merchant developer who goes and buys a corner, develops it, flips it, and they're out of there. And yes, the retail on the hard left corner, it's service retail. It's what we marketed 2 years ago because there was no roads or anything else, and there was no vision for it yet because we didn't have this plan, much less multifamily. And our effort is, like ATC, like the rest of Alliance, like Circle T Ranch, is to master plan the community, and hopefully it increases your values because the collective plan produces a better mixed-use master plan community, because it's going to include access to future parks. And that, for those who don't know, that is the final piece of connectivity for what we dedicated to the city in Saratoga decades ago. This isn't even on their map yet. That land to the south, we don't owe them that. This is what we intend to do to provide the connectivity of a master parks and trail system that we've been working on with the city for 30 years now. The land, 16 acres to the north, is on the map, and we will be dedicating it. Ultimately, that connectivity all the way up through 17 lakes and through the ETJ, that's going to take a long time, but it connects up to the 165-acre park that we dedicated to the city with all the ball fields of ball flitzy. All of those pieces are part of the master plan. And hopefully, if we're successful in getting the right brochure, and the multifamily helps to get different retail, then it does improve values. But totally respect the merchant person who comes in and just does the one-off and is gone. And that's our goal. Yes, sir.
Folks, I've been doing this for 17 years now, and I will tell you that there is no actual showing that good, solid, Class A apartments affect your property values. There is none. You can protest all you want. You can tell me that your opinions are. There is no evidence. And if you want to see what evidence we're talking about, go down, start at the traffic circle at Shiver and Riverside, go north for about a mile and a half, visit to the top of maybe to us and top of the Lifestyle Center, both sides.
Half a mile.
There's 3,000 apartments there. Right across the street is Heritage, Sunset Hills, and Crawford Farms. Those houses are just as valuable and more valuable than they've ever been. So it's the quality of the homes, and the quality of the services that are nearby that matter to the people who are buying these homes. And I would tell you that mobility makes a bigger difference. And that's something that the North Fort Worth Alliance is working hard on this thing.
When the trails start to connect, since the city of Fort Worth took over the trails that go through Saratoga, they've become a weeded mess that you don't even want to walk through anymore. That in the winter, in the summer, it's mosquito laden, it's uncomfortable. It is not a value anymore in our neighborhood that it was when I first moved in 2006.
Mr. Warman and I are working on that.
Okay.
Directly with Parks Department.
Okay.
There is more money in the budget, the city budget for fiscal year 24 for mowing and maintaining parks than there ever has been before. They've increased their budget more than inflation. And so we are working on getting them in to fix things they need to fix.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you. And then
And Saratoga, and when I said Jake Gorman, Jake is in part of Saratoga, and the Saratoga HOA is very much involved with it as well. I mean, I don't mean to leave it out.
okay. And is the city considering, or would it be Hillwood that we asked this of? Could they consider using any of that park development to actually create like a dog park? We don't have one on our side of town at all.
You know, the dog parks are responsibility of the city of Fort Worth. How those things get built and why they get built, I have no idea. We're supposed to have one over at the Northwest Community Center, and we can't get a definite date from the Parks Department as if and when that's going to happen. That would be the only dog park of which I'm aware in the park.
Is that by the Y?
No. This is the north. This is over by the Mint. Over by the U.S. Mint.
Oh, okay.
That's where the first. Don't even get me to the topic of the YMCA community center.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't want me to go there.
Typical, the life cycle of the city of Fort Worth, for most parks departments, they're dedicated land, then they go find funding through bond programs or others or grants. So the original Arcadia Trail system that comes through Heritage through Saratoga was the Hillwood Parks Department and TPW grants a long time ago. That's also how, with Rusty's help, the 165-acre ball fields got funded last year. This isn't even on the map yet.
Okay.
So the process should be, we dedicate the land, and there's a public process. We're all part of the programming whenever they get to go develop it. So that's several years out for this part, if not more. But once it shows up on a map and they have control of it, and the public process for programming it has to take place.
Yes. And one thing I would encourage you is to go to the North Fort Worth Alliance Facebook page. There is a survey there that you can that's put out by the Parks Department for you to fill out, and you can fill it out and make sure that you put in the fact that you want some dog parks, and you can always write to for this one, Richard dot Zavala, ZAVALA at FortWorthTexas.gov. Copy District 10 at FortWorthTexas.gov.
We'll put all this on the website, the Facebook
And I mean, you don't get what you don't ask for. And let me tell you that I watched a miracle back in the 2008 budget, when they were considering the Northwest Community Center, Northwest Community Park. A group from the Fossil Creek Little League put together parents, children, and a slide presentation, and went to every single solitary public meeting on the budget, even when they were held in the very south of the city, saying, we want ballparks. Guess what they got? Ballparks in the Northwest Community Park. So you gotta ask, and you gotta meet it. Somebody, yes ma'am.
Two questions. Going back to the Gorman comment, if there are traffic studies already been done for a macro or a massive project like this one, you must have some data already about the problem we have on the crossing on Beach Street to the school. Why not just build that line already on the first phase of this project? And wait for, for an accident to happen or be on the news because...
The question's a good one. With all the studies that we have, why can't we just go ahead and build the intersection, the signal into the intersection? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the traffic studies that were done without Beach being complete. So there was no traffic going through Beach, 170. So there's no car count, there's no understanding of how much of the traffic from Alta Vista will actually wind up on Beach. However, it was pointed out to the city that it didn't take a genius to understand that there was going to be a lot of traffic going through there, and that's why the city is looking now at doing the signalization.
But there's no ETA and we're having to annoy...
I understand, ma'am, but we're working on it.
Okay, and the second question, I think you mentioned that the multifamily property needed to be there and to have walking distance to retail around the area. We already have 2 multifamily units on the other side of 170 and 1 more that's planned to be built. From all the studies that you've made, why do you still see a need to build 1 more on that spot?
Sure. There's multiple parts to your question there. So, just to clarify, I'm not necessarily saying that we need walkable multifamily necessarily in our project. However, having the multifamily integrated within our mixed-use node, and albeit walkable or within a walking distance, does help attract better tenants because it proves up within their demographic studies that they have a captive audience already guaranteed at a density that's within approximate location, in addition to the built-out single-family residence. But as far as the existing communities that are or existing multifamily that's nearby, when you start looking at what is truly a Class A, amenitized luxury multifamily complex within the area, all the existing multifamily is all Section 8 HUD housing, whereas this will not be. This will be equivalent to what we have at Alliance Town Center. It's market rate. It is not government subsidized. Candidly, the rents of those apartments are actually, in some cases, higher than some mortgages.
Yeah, just to cover all the new multifamily you see to the north you're talking about, all but one is Section 8, is subsidized housing. So except for the overlay.
Except for
yeah.
And that's in addition to the possibility of getting senior living community. I'm thinking about traffic-wise.
Yeah,
3,000 units is
the senior living, that is just an idea that we think should happen on the plan. We're not actively building senior living.
It's a prospective use case within the mixed-use node of something that could possibly go there, but we're not sure.
Senior living is the only category that is multifamily is true senior housing, so age restricted, basically age restricted multifamily. There is a
a master planning effort because we've been asked if there's an opportunity for senior living.
So, how many multifamily units are we talking about? Like, and I'm not talking about we're gonna start with. I wanna know what your projection, what your end result in multifamily.
Yeah. So, you want to finish the presentation? Yeah.
You wanted interaction?
Yeah, no. There's a couple.
Okay.
There's a couple slides here that. To
Yeah,
explain.
no. That, yeah, by all means.
Yes, ma'am.
Several people covered a little bit of what I think I was interested in talking about, but I had questions. Over there where Vista Greens is that the neighborhood on the bottom right that I'm looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I did hear speculation of apartments going on that corner there. I just want to be deadly honest, okay? Don't shoot me on the way out, don't, because I'm just telling you, all right? I've been here 6 years. I've never lived any place so transient in my life. As far as people coming, leaving, renting brand new houses out, moving across town because you like that neighborhood better. Fences are an issue here. Okay, now I don't know how people feel about fences. I got to think about fences. So I can tell you that when I came here and I said I'm going to buy a home here and I looked around, whether you had a nice fence around your property or not, around your neighborhood, determined whether I bought a house in that neighborhood. That's just a fact. I drove around and said, I'm not moving, I'm not driving up to my house and paying a mortgage on a house where the fences are hodgepodge together and falling down. I'm not doing it, all right? Now, where I used to live, Walmart tried to come into a really nice neighborhood area, and let me tell you, it was a 5-year battle. But by the time they were done, what happened was Walmart agreed to build some really nice fences across brick fences so that the Walmart would be in one location and these brick fences across the road in the neighborhood they had no jurisdiction over. They were willing to repair those fences, build those fences, and take care of them. And what I'm suggesting is, and I don't know how these contracts are, laid out, but I would do everything on earth that I could to get anybody wanting to build an apartment complex, and that's what we're talking about. We call it multifamily, townhomes, whatever you want to call it. It is an apartment complex. Even if it's nice, that's what it is. So we need to be honest, and we need to negotiate with those people to get them to do whatever we can get them to do to agree to repair the fences down that neighborhood so that now we don't have torn up fences on that street and an apartment complex right across the street. Because I think these people in the back are dead right that it will hurt those property values if you allow that to happen. I would never, ever buy a house there. Okay, I could buy 3 and I wouldn't buy any, okay, because that's what it would mean to me. Because I think people invest in their homes and they say, what I see on the way driving into my house is important to me. It just is. It's how I feel about where I live. And I just think that's true. So I think we've got to be honest about that.
Who is responsible for that stretch of fences going up and down?
That's an HOA issue, I'm assuming.
The property owners.
For them. I know, yeah. Well, what you do is.
Alta Vista.
Like Walmart, whoever wants to build that complex there, and you say, you want this bad enough,
Hold
this
on.
is what it's gonna cost.
So, it's owned by the property owners in the HOA. I know from some people over there, they're fighting with their HOA board. They have mandated this board-on-board fencing for the perimeter of Vista Greens. Not paying for it, they're making the homeowners foot the bill.
I'm saying make an
This
apartment
community
complex
here,
rate bill.
this community invested in making the perimeter fencing look the same so that it looks nice, just like what you said. That's a different animal up there, and it's something that those residents are gonna have to do to come together as a community to do it. The problem in Vista Greens is that there are more landlords than property owners.
What I'm
There were
saying
5
is it
years
doesn't
ago,
have to
and
be
so-
that way, because when this apartment complex comes in and says, we want
Right.
this badly here, this is what we want, they will negotiate and do whatever they have to do to make that happen. You can't stop somebody else from paying my taxes for me. They want to,
Sure.
let them do it, right?
But
So if you
the-
say that, that's what it's gonna cost, they will do it.
So the thing that's instrumental in this a lot that we talked about briefly was this big setback that's on Alta Vista. It's something like 150 feet, 200 feet,
So,
after the roadway is finished, right? Because that's being expanded as well.
So, a lot of things right there. So,
There's a lot of things there, but I'm just being honest with you.
No, absolutely,
I live on a lot of
I really
houses,
appreciate it,
so
absolutely.
It's reality.
So,
I don't think I'm alone in that.
absolutely hear you. So I can't make any promises on putting the bill for an adjacent property owner's land that we don't own, but what I can tell you is within our apartments and multifamily, our product type, Again, we're long-term holders for the most part. And when it comes to maintenance obligation, the cost of maintaining the property, fences are historically a nightmare, especially if they're wooden. There's always something being broken, there's always something that needs to be restained, or something that needs to be maintained. So for the large part, across our multifamily, our apartment asset types, we don't put fences around ours. What we actually do, and I'm glad you're helping me segue into this.
Well, if you're going into so there's two parcels that are being zoned that we're capping to 674 acres. So I want to make sure we answer his question.
Let's get that.
That hasn't been zoned yet, though, has it?
No.
That multifamily stuff, we're having a conversation, that's something that hasn't even been zoned for
Yes.
that.
Yes, sir.
When is the vote on the zoning for
Next
it?
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yes.
The 12th.
Okay, and you guys will be at that meeting?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So to speak to our setbacks and how we treat that, if you look up here at our concept plan, the area I have bubbled in red is an area where effectively we just taken a sketch and just took a profile section of it just to give concept of what we strive to do as a self-imposed constraint on our own property. It is our CC&Rs, it's our deed restrictions. So what this is showing is the approximate location, give or take a couple feet. But we've got the average location of back homes and property lines of the Vista Green subdivision along the Alta Vista. Thank you.
Okay, so
And
this is what.
Yeah, it's really faint up here.
What you see today is this pavement here, the fencing, I think what you're talking about along Vista Green. What you don't see is when we go in to develop, we will be responsible for the remaining section, which is adding another lane and improving on our side. Go ahead.
So what you're seeing right here is the current extent property line to property line of what is Alta Vista. And again, albeit faint, we are showing the existing 2 lanes right there at our southern property line. That's where it starts to neck down, right? So as part of when we go to plat our parcel, whether it be for the apartments or if it ends up being some other mixed use, when we front that Alta Vista line, the requirement for us is going to have to be to expand Alta Vista to be its ultimate condition, which will match the 3 lanes that are at the southern part of our property line going southbound. So that will get expanded. The right-of-way line is the limits of right-of-way, the start of our property line. From there, we have self-imposed deed restrictions that limit when we can even start any type of pavement. So what you're seeing there is a 20-foot offset from our property line before we can start paving. We also have on top of that a 50-foot setback before we can even start doing a building. So if you go really from the back of where the average home is along Alta Vista within the Vista Green community, we're about we'll be at minimum about half a football field away before any building goes in. And just to speak a little bit further to that, the zoning that we're requesting for with City of Fort Worth, what it requires is if we go forth with a 2-story building right there along Alta Vista, per the zoning, we've got a 70-foot setback from the adjacent property line. So it actually ends up falling short of our paving setback. So we have even stricter self-imposed restrictions just to help promote further separation and help with aesthetics of transition of building to building.
So I think what's important here is your question about, your the HOA fencing, and that's not our fencing. The closest that a building will be on our side because of our own CCRs is 110 feet from that fence. You can't see that out there today because it's just the 2-lane asphalt road. So there's a lot of questions around this before, and what happened with Alta Vista, so we wanted to make sure everybody understood what it was.
So we'll be required to, just summarize it, we'll be required to put in our expansion portion of Alta Vista, and then with our self-imposed setbacks, we're going to be about minimum 140 feet away from the nearest.
But that's landscape setback.
So we'll throw in landscaping absolutely along our portion of up to the right of way, and part of our deed restrictions and our design guidelines that arrive with our deed restrictions requires certain landscaping, berming, etc.
As far as community parking, that's going to be on the backside of the building, is that right?
Traditionally, that's how we plan is for our parking to be internal to our site so that you have aesthetic architecture fronting the right of way roadways.
Yes, sir. So, Russ just brought up a good point. So, our same CCRs and landscape guidelines that we have in Lansdowne Center are the same ones that we have here. So you get a sense of screening requirements for car lights, bumpers, berms, setbacks. It's the same CCRs.
So are you saying the road's gonna come before that park?
It'll be a requirement as part of our plan.
Yes.
So, yes.
We'll have to build the road
Before the apartment?
with whenever we
Tuesday, if the rezoning is approved.
No, that it'll come in with development. So it'll be triggered by whenever we go do something on our side.
Yeah, just to walk through some of the steps. So right now, we're at a phase where we're just getting the entitlement, the zoning to allow for that type of use. And then once we have that approved, then we go through the engineering efforts, the design effort, and then that goes in for, when we go through planning, and then we go through construction. So part of all of that is intermixed with getting that road expanded, but we're at step one right now.
So he even invested that several years now.
So that brings some comfort to me. I guess I'm happy to see something's being built there. I'm thrilled to hear that there are efforts, and one of the reasons for that multifamily is to bring in a grocer in there. That would be wonderful to have that. My biggest concern with all of this is the safety of what this is gonna do to our roads. My kindergartner will never have the opportunity to ride a bike to school, to Granger here. He'll never be able to cross Beach. My children don't go on Alta Vista anymore because it's a racetrack. So I think for a lot of us, the big concern, which I can't speak for everybody, but my biggest concern is more of a plea in that these meetings seem to be more of a, here's what we're gonna do, whether you like it or not. Money will prevail on it. So my plea is just, please keep in mind as Hillwood makes these plans and these developments, as P&Z does, that this is our home, this is where our families are. My wife and children travel on these roads. I've seen the memorials on the corners, I've seen the aftermath of the accidents, that you please just keep in mind, this is where we live, our families are here. How these folks are gonna move in and out of these retail spaces, how these folks are going to move from these multifamily, when they wanna go south on Beach, is it gonna be racing down Alta Vista? Is it gonna be cutting through down Beach and across through the folks here on Saratoga? Please just keep that in mind, that these are our homes, our families that are here, and how you're gonna do this.
Speaking to the safety issues, when they put in this road, they will also have to put in sidewalks. That's part of the requirement.
Well, I understand, there's
So-
sidewalks now, but, it is what it is, so you have four-way stops. If you've been out here during rush hour, they're long, so by the time somebody gets to the stop sign, they're racing around here at Beach. And so we're just adding to that, and I'm just asking that you keep that in mind when you're thinking about how we're getting people in and out of these places. Where the person that wants to everybody wants to get there fast as they can, right? How they're gonna do that and how that's going to affect us, the people that live immediately around your development.
That's been a problem since we started dealing with mobility issues up here. We get things that are more local, and you get people racing up and down the roads.
and the frustrating part is you always see all of these homes built and all these developments, and there's 2-lane blacktops that go to them. And you think, why didn't they think about that before, of what this was going to be and how this is affecting?
That's what we're trying to get out in front of them. Those roads, those houses and stuff were built out here completely different rules than the city has now.
Who is it that establishes school zones? What group?
Yeah, that's done by the state down in Austin. In Northwest ISD, that was done back in '49 when there's nothing out here. So I'm not sure. What's the school zone? Okay. I thought you were talking about district. School zones itself. That our demographer, that we get quarterly updates from our demographer, and so we kind of get an idea of where the demography. Traffic school zone. Sorry, I was replying to another constituent on text all the time. Traffic school zones. That's yes, city of Fort Worth.
Because there's no school zone from up here all the way up to Alta Vista. We got a little 25-foot one up there.
When Rusty was talking about
Champions, it go 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, when Rusty was talking about the signal up here at Champions View, one of the questions I asked Jake is, why can't we just get some kind of, at least a sign like they have out there on Alta Vista that nobody abides by, but at least get them to slow down before they get to that 4-way stop. But yeah, that's just a request that we make it to the city. And
who does it? You, the school?
Well, the schools, us, everybody. That's what Jake was saying. You got to just email the city. But unfortunately, something that Jake is good at that I wasn't when I was on the HOA here is he knows how to fight that bureaucracy at the city. And it's a beast. And, you know, prior Air Force deal with federal bureaucracy, it's a whole nother beast downtown. So Jake knows how to do it. It's his superpower. So Rusty as well. So that's why they're here.
Well, it answers his question too. Yeah. Because the traffic is too fast, and these idiots don't have any brains to think about what exactly he's bringing up, which is we got kids living here.
Yes. And it's something we've done at the district level to help get kids to Granger from beaches. We made it east of Beach Street is now a hazardous route. So those kids in phase 3 and phase 4 of Saratoga, if you know they now get bused to school. So we're ahead of that. It seems to be going pretty well. But if you've heard different, please come talk to me and take care of that. So it used to be on the other side of Alta Vista got bused. So McPherson Ranch and Vista Greens, when they were coming to Granger, got bused. But now it's going to be phase 3 and phase 4, so we got a little closer to help. But there's still people. Yeah.
I live here in Saratoga, so I know exactly what you're talking about. The problem that I see a lot of is it's parents and members of the community in Saratoga that are rolling through the stop signs. As soon as they get past that, the sign of the school zone, they're speeding on out of here. It's only going to get worse with the expansion of North Beach, but the problem is right here in our community with people can't follow their own traffic laws. The one thing I would like to ask maybe for Councilman Blaylock is just more of a police presence during the school zones, during the activeness of the bringing in and letting out the kids. And especially until we get a signal, I don't think it's a bad question to go, hey, can you support us at least with some patrol? Get them out here. Because I'm going to tell you who doesn't speed past patrol. The actual car. They'll stop. They'll go right past the stop sign. They'll go past a school zone. They're not going to speed past the patrol car. Well, okay, most people don't. So, I am going to say this. It is 8 o'clock. It is scheduled to go another 30 minutes, but at this point, we keep kind of doing the same questions. Before we start really opening up for Q&A, is there anything pertinent that you want to say? Okay.
Well, I think it's the last remainder of the presentation we had, but it also answered an outstanding question, and it's the unit count that we're looking to entitle out here. And so I want to be sensitive to the sentiment of units being added into the area. So What we, Hillwood, are looking to do, the bottom line is 674 units, but to avoid it being a net add to the region, what we're looking to have, we're looking to do is actually take existing multifamily apartment entitlement from Alliance Town Center and transfer them up here. Again, bringing them closer to the jobs, into the mixed use node, but it ends up being a net zero add to the region. So we're just transferring 674 to this area that was currently planned for Alliance Town Center on the north side. Yes, sir.
The land that's south of 170 down to Timberland, from Riverside west to 35, where that's the corner where the pilot is, where the truck stop is. And I think they're building a 7-Eleven or something down there on the southwest corner. Is that one of your all's properties, or is that?
No, that's the school district.
That's the school district.
Piece of it's yours.
Or is it just yours?
Piece of it's the school district.
I'm sorry?
Piece of it's the school district.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so we own, Hillwood owns the frontage, there's a retail strip, and then the northwest side, Steve. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, 35W. And then northwest side, Steve owns the Riverside Drive, that's the fourth high school of the fourth, Steve.
How about the land north of the school district's land up to 170? Because the school district doesn't own all the way to 170.
No, it doesn't, so we do, well, Encore, so all their system improvements, which I'm sure a lot of people are engaged in, they own, they have the existing substation, they own a portion of land between the school district to the north. And then we do own at the corner of 170 in Riverside, we do own a retail portion, if that's what you're, I think that's what you're talking about.
I mean, a big field where the black cows are all the time.
Yes.
That's where the new high school's going. That's where the new high school's going.
No.
Sorry.
I can be your pointer.
Well, it's not on here.
So south of Pilot is Northwest IC, all the way down to, there's a section of land between Timberland, you see a bunch of dirt stockpile? That's another, I don't know who that is, but north of that is Northwest ISD. Oh, there you go. Uh-huh. That's the high school. Yeah.
Then the gray part above it is owned partly by well, it's got Pilot, it's got Encore, and then there's
some remaining Hillwood retail. Sorry.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the 674 units you're putting in? Can you tell me how many bedrooms you're planning to put in, how many bathrooms you have? What's the square footage on these properties? You said that they're not going to be, subsidized by the government, but I mean, are they luxury? And how much what are you looking for rent per month on these properties?
Yeah, I'm gonna, Mark McKittery, a colleague of ours, and give you all the detail you want all night long.
So my name's Mark McKinley. I run our multifamily business. Appreciate everybody showing up tonight. To your question, sir, so it's a multi-layered question. So just, if you look at our demographics in our 2,800 to 3,000 units that we have at Alliance Town Center, the average household income is $133,000 per home. So very high incomes. The average age is 35. The average occupancy is 1.8 per apartment home.
What's the education on? Do you know that?
The education?
The average education?
It's mostly young professionals, empty nesters. We don't have a lot of families. We don't design our product for families. It's not really our target demographic. We do have usually around 10 to 12 3-bedroom apartment homes on a project in a community. But it's mainly 1 and 2, and our typical mix is roughly 65% 1-bedroom, 35% 2-bedroom, and then, the 10 or 12 3-bedrooms kind of mixed in there. We like to do, a handful of townhome units, usually 10 to 20% of our product mix. The rent, so today it costs roughly $250,000 a unit, apartment home, to build quality product that we build today. So that's a $75 million project, and it's a 300-unit project. The rents that it takes to support the economics of a project like that are roughly $2 a square foot today. So our one bedrooms, probably the smallest one bedroom, roughly 650 to 700 square feet. Those would start out roughly $2.25 a foot, so in that $1,500 a month range. Our qualifying income is three times the monthly rent, so it takes roughly $45,000 to $50,000 to qualify for our smallest apartment home. The two bedrooms range for probably in the $1,800 at the lowest to $2,300, $2,400 a month on the high end of the two bedrooms, and our three bedrooms, the few that we have, will be pushing $3,000 a month. So they're very expensive apartment homes. We're very proud of the demographics that we have in our apartments. And,
are you required by government regulation to provide a certain percentage of those homes to Section 8?
No. That's only if you're working with government subsidies of some kind. There's several different flavors out there. A couple of the projects that have been built, the Holston to the north up there, that was done with the Fort Worth Housing Authority. I don't know exactly what their criteria is, but I think it's 70 or 80% of the median income, or maybe 50 to 70% of the community. But no, we're strictly market rate, luxury, multifamily. Our demographics, our number one employer in our 2,800 units is Keller ISD. Then we have Amazon, we have BNSF, we have Texas Health Resources, THR, Fort Worth Police Department is a fairly big occupier of our properties.
This will be another apartment complex.
Yes, it will.
It's not a property that y'all sold or that you're leasing to your developer.
It's a property that we will build, we will own, we may sell it at some point in time. Those are plans that Ross will decide how long he wants to own the property. The ones that we have at Alliance Town Center, we've owned those for the last, since the first one was built in 2008, and we still own it.
Excuse me. Do you have a long-term plan for these properties? Do you hope like the grocers and the people who are using real estate, you hold to a standard, keep the property up to a certain standard? So like in 5-10 years, it doesn't degrade in terms of a rundown Walmart or something that just looks bad and eyesore?
So you guys can speak to the CCRs and everything better than I can, but yes, we have standards that take care of long-term maintenance.
Yes. So yeah, there is an association already in place for this property that has CCRs, design guidelines, restrictions on all the things that you want to restrict, setbacks. We have design review board, probably just like all your HOAs, that sit on the board and review all the plans to enforce those. So that's never going to go away.
What's a CCR?
Covenants, conditions, and restrictions.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
At the end of this, you talked about multifamily, about all these different things coming in. Do you guys have a list of what we know is coming in for sure? You guys have that list you can share? I've heard QT, you've heard different things, but what's coming in, like what's going to be breaking ground, what's coming in? Do you guys have that?
I don't know what's public and what's not.
We're in a public forum right now.
I'm going to give this to him.
Nobody can share publicly.
All right.
We don't know what he can share publicly.
I know. That's smart.
Hi everyone, I'm McKenna Beatty. I'm in Hillwood, so I can answer that question. I cannot disclose exact brands that will be there. We do have fuel on the corner, so I'll move west to east around that L shape. On the furthest west, it's not up there right now, but on the furthest west we have a multi-tenant building. So that's third-party leasing. They will manage that
will be a fast Asian QSR, quick service restaurant. And then that is an available pad, so it's about 1.5 acres. We're working with a sit-down restaurant there, breakfast food, but that's very early stages. Then on the corner, we have Fuel. Just south of that, we have a fast food Mexican restaurant, which will also be a QSR. Just south of that, we are under contract with an automotive user. And then just south of that is a car wash. So the inside of that L, if you go to that secondary pad, we don't have anything working there yet.
That's a larger one.
That's larger, it's about 3.5 acres. Yep. So on the inside.
Where is the QT? Did somebody say there was a
Fuel user is on that far corner. So it is on the south.
Fuel user with
Buffalo chicken rollers right there.
This is all assuming that the rezoning goes as planned, right?
Correct.
What happens if it doesn't?
Good question. We've had this land for 30 years and we'll keep landing. That's the honest answer.
Yeah, we'll keep manipulating design. The only thing I was going to leave the last remark on was that obviously from an apartment, multifamily, whatever we want to call it, product type, we have live existing product on the ground, operational within Alliance Town Center. And that is the basis of quality and intent that we would strive to have put in that those two parcels. So I just open it up for if anyone ever wants to actually visit and tour any of our properties, we'd be happy to host you guys and just leave y'all with some pictures.
Can you just say for the record how many units are north of 170, which is my neighborhood, and how many are south?
We don't have it fully planned yet, but of the 674 units that we're looking to transfer, you can...
Are total divided between the two properties, right?
Between the
Okay.
two parcels.
Is there any way that we can access all these images that you've had up on the slideshow? They're extremely hard to see because it's so small.
Sure. Yes.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes.
We'll work through Ashley and get it.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, so in the last HOA meeting that we had, they mentioned that, if they did have apartments that came in, that the people that are in the apartments would be paying part of the HOA also. Is that possible, or is that just something that they were thinking about? And another thing that they mentioned is that it was also on the drawing board that maybe they put in homes instead of apartments, which would be really nice, nice homes.
Yeah, I can't really speak to the HOA.
Well, I think so. This has its own HOA.
Oh, it has its own.
Yeah, we don't have anything to do with Saratoga anymore, or any of the communities. This is within
Lone Star.
Yeah. So this is within we call it Lone Star Association, which is a Hillwood Association, commercial association that includes the southern portion of the north. It goes all the way to Cabela's. So if somebody told you that, it was incorrect. They're paying into an association, but it's a commercial association.
It'll be their own association. And then to the other part of your question of homes, as far as the southernmost parcel that we had locked out on the concept plan here, again, it's subject to change probably 1 million times between now and the next several years as to the product type and what goes there. At one point, it was talked about putting families, it's built for rent, it's single family homes for sale, MOB, medical office building, or retail. It's fluctuated a lot, and it'll continue to fluctuate. And depending on what we end up landing on, depending on what zoning is needed, we'll be back here again to present.
Yeah, there's no homes. That's probably what you heard though, was a year ago, we were looking at if you do some type of more single family home type product along Saratoga, and we're not doing that. It is zoned in office medical.
What we need, and I think I speak for everyone here, is a good go-kart track.
That's opening up December 18th, it's called North Beach.
We already have that.
There's a go-kart track built down by living spaces.
Really? Yeah. Andretti. Indoor. Andretti. Like what's at the Colony? Sounds fun. Like the Grandscape at the Colony, it's the same brand.
Really? Right there, multi-level.
I just want to take a minute and say, tonight's whole point was to give you the information. There is a city council meeting on Tuesday, December 12th. You can go, you can voice your opinion. All of this that they have prepared has gone through the zoning commission, but it has not been approved by the city council yet. So if you heard something tonight that you don't like, well, don't voice it here. Voice it next Tuesday to your city councilman. Let the office of Alan Blaylock know, Councilman Blaylock. Write to, we're going to put a list of emails out there. I will get it to the ranches, I'll get it to McPherson and Vista Greens. We'll get it out there. So that is where you need to speak up and let people, the right people, know how you feel. But I do want to say, it was super amazing, wonderful that Hillwood would even take the time to come out, listen to you, answer your questions, show you what they're planning to do. I don't know of any other developer that has invested so much in sharing this information with so many communities, HOAs, businesses, everything. So could you please at least give them a hand? In addition, I want to thank our Northwest ISD members, Steve Sproles, Jennifer Murphy. I want to thank Jacob Harmon, Stoney. I want to thank Tara Holt from, why do I always go to mess up the
District
name?
10 office.
District 10 office, thank you.
I've already emailed, by the way, if anybody in this room is speeding near Hayrand Elementary, I called patrol, called MPO.
She's the woman who gets things done. In fact, just so you know, we try to get Spectrum here this evening. As you can see, they're not here. But we went through District 10, we went to the city of Fort Worth, we tried to get them in, we tried to get them here. So,
I've emailed about the dog park already, and I wanted to thank Rusty and Jake also. They've been also nominated for, hold on, there's a big title here. So they're going to be volunteering.
Jackass of the week.
For us more, they're going to be a master transportation plan stakeholder advisory committee representative.
and last but not least, we want to thank Rusty Fuller. I want to thank you all for being here. So now when you see things on Facebook, share everything that you've heard tonight, and let people know this is what's coming. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.